Grabbing yourself a new board, here's how to set up your surfboard perfectly every time. Hey guys, Chris from State for Travel here, and welcome back to the channel. Now before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any video goodness. Now today we're going to talk through one of the fundamentals of surfing, how to set up your surfboard. So if you just bought a new board, you're starting surfing for the first time, we're going to run through everything you need to know, from how to put on a traction pad, which fins to choose, how to put it on a leash, and of course how to wax up your surfboard as well. Now, I'm joined today by my buddy Tom from Boards on the Bay in Byron Bay. He gets the privilege of setting up heaps of boards every day for his awesome customers, so he's going to talk you through everything you need to know. So yeah, let's get started.
Okay guys, so first up we're going to talk traction pads or tail pads, whatever you want to call them. Generally speaking, we only recommend those on boards under say 6'4", otherwise you are going to spend a lot of time off the tail pad. The particular board we're setting up today is a 5'9", actually a birthday present for my friend Sam. Yeah, so let's run through a couple different options. Okay, so one of the things you want to take into consideration is the shape of the tail. So if you're running a wider tail board, such as this Phoenix, you're going to want to pick yourself a wider traction pad. That's going to give you a lot more coverage over the tail. That's going to give you more grip, and obviously also it's going to give you more padding and protection for the tail of your board. That's something that's kind of overseen when you're looking at tail pads. They do actually have another function as opposed to just for grip. They will actually help your board hold up better in the tail, and obviously in the front if you do end up using a front pad. There's also a couple other options if you've got like a swallowtail, so you could get something like this for, you know, more kind of retro fish, and this will fit right into the cutout. And then if you've got a narrow tail, like kind of a more pintail or round tail, these will work really well. And that's going to allow you to put the tail pad as far back as possible without having to make any adjustments like cutting off parts of the pad. So also heaps of color options available. So for, you know, any kind of taste, whether it's like something camo or something with lightning bolts on it, there's a whole mix of stuff that you can get. Also different size arches depending on the size of your foot, and if you've got a flat foot or an arch, and also a lot of different kick designs too. Some guys and girls like a tall kick, others want something a bit more low profile, a bit less drag, but again, all kind of up to you. And yeah, there's plenty of great products out there that will suit whatever you need. Okay, so the first thing we need to look at when we're putting on our traction pad is you've got to make sure the board's nice and clean, free from any grime, dirt, etc. If you've got a new board, obviously it's going to come factory fresh and it's going to be in pretty good shape. However, even if it's coming straight out of the factory, I do recommend a little bit of methylated spirits. This stuff evaporates by itself, so you don't really have to wait for it to dry or wipe it down with anything after you've used it before you put the pad on. If you don't have any methylated spirits, there are a few other options. An old towel works really good to heat up and kind of lift the wax off the board if you're putting it on a used board. But this is super important. If you get this part of the process kind of wrong, there's a good chance the pad's going to lift in time and might fall off, and you have to replace it. It can be a bit of a drama. So just try and prepare as best you can. So today we're going with the Creatures of Leisure Jack Freestone pad. This is nice and wide, so it really suits the tail shape of this board. As you can see, it is a 3-piece pad, so that allows additional adjustment. You can widen out a little bit more if you like. Now, the way we generally do this is firstly I pull the pad completely apart. You'll see it's kind of got these perforated edges to keep it all together in the packaging. You just want to pop this off like so the pad's kind of moving. You can place it wherever you like. Now what you then want to do, bring the tail pad right to the back of the board. On a board of this length, you're going to want the tail pad as far back as it can go. You know, the worst case scenario is if you're getting up on a wave, specifically a little bit late, and you get up with your foot behind the traction pad, it's an absolute nightmare, and you're definitely going to get pounded. So as far back as possible is the go. So let's kind of mount it back there. You get a bit of an eye in regards to getting the pad centered. Make sure you've got all the pieces nice and snug back together at this point. Okay, and now once you've eyed that up, and you're kind of happy that that's all centered, I'm kind of eyeing off here and here on either side. You want to get that nice and even. Okay, once you're happy with that, pin down the middle. You want to ditch the side pieces. And then you want to get out your trusty HB pencil. Don't push too hard here, but just go around the corners. This is going to allow you to line it up super easy when we're peeling off and applying the traction pad. So you can get it straight in the middle first go. Okay, so after we've got our pencil marks, we can now pull back the peel ply, which is going to reveal the adhesive. Just lift this about halfway up. This way, this gives us a nice freedom of movement with the front of the pad whilst we're sticking down the back, so we can make sure we get it bang on. So just line up the front first with the pencil marks. You get that roughly in the right place. As you can see, I can freely move this around still because it's got the adhesive backing still on there. And then line up the back, and just starting from the kick, you want to get that down first, and then we kind of just work up towards the front of the pad. That's going to also iron out any air bubbles or anything underneath, which is going to give us the best adhesion possible. Okay, now I'm just removing the rest of the backing, like so, lining it up with the pencil marks, and then just slide your hand all over. You actually hear those air bubbles popping out, if there's any in there. And then you just want to push it down nice and firm, just like so. And that's your centerpiece locked and loaded. Okay, so we've got our centerpiece now on, nice, rock solid, that's not going anywhere. Now it's time to pop on our two side pieces. In relation to this, what I just generally do, put them in again all together, nice and grouped, and then you kind of want to eye up from there how far off you want to spread it. So again, this depends on the tail pad, the width of the tail of the board, tail shape, a whole other load of variables. For my mate Sam, he loves to have a nice gap so he gets maximum amount of pad towards the rail of the board. So we're going to stick it somewhere in this kind of vicinity like that. I reckon that's nice just there. So I'm going to leave that one there. That's how I kind of want it. And then I'm going to mirror with this side. I'm going to mirror that. So again, we just repeat the process that we did before. So once we got the pad all stuck on, just recommended that you leave it for about 24 hours before you surf the board. Otherwise, you can get the traction peeling up. Just give that glue that bit of time to set. Okay guys, now let's have a chat about fins. So there's two fin systems available, whether you're getting a board off the shop floor or from your local shaper. Those are FCS2 and Futures. Firstly, we'll run through a few of the FCS fins for you, a couple of specifics. So to start off with, we got the Glass Flex series. This is a really good like entry-level fin. If you're just starting out, this will be perfectly sufficient for what you need. You're not really going to get too much extra performance as a beginner / intermediate level surfer out of getting more expensive high-tech fins. So first we've got the Glass Flex from FCS2. Then from there it moves into the Neo Glass. So these are just a slightly better material, better flex, a little bit lighter, stronger fin, better surfing fin. That's kind of in the mid-tier bracket. And then if you want to go all out, we're then looking at stuff in the Performance Core or honeycomb material. This is ultimate in regards to weight, so super light, amazing flex, and these really will liven up your board. And just remember, you can take any of these fins board to board as you improve and progress. So if you invest in some decent fins earlier on, you can always take them to your next board. Okay, and now onto the Futures range. So with these guys, we start with the Thermotech, which is kind of their more basic entry-level fin. Again, really good little fin to get you started, strong, good flex, etc. Then from there, we move into the Alpha. This is made with a compound called C6. It's like an air-infused carbon fin. Super light, but actually really good on the price front for something that actually involves a bit of carbon. And a really nice surfing fin as well. Super light, super lively. And then from there, we go up then to the Honeycomb series. which is kind of still like the performance benchmark in regards to weight, strength, and what a lot of the better surfers around really love to surf. All of the fins that we've showed you, you can obviously get different sizes, which are going to be relative to your weight, also relative to the board that you're riding. So chat with your local surf shop in regards to fins for you, the local conditions, and the board that you're selecting. There's plenty of options available, different colors, etc., etc. Yeah, it's also a personal preference in regards to which system you go with, whether it's Futures or FCS. They both work really well. For example, I'm a big Futures guy. Chris, he loves FCS2, but also at the same time, don't be swayed too much by the system that the board has in it, whether that's the board for you or not, because I do see a lot of people making a decision about a board based on the fin system rather than the merits of the board itself. So it's important not to do that if you can. If you can have one decent set in both Futures and FCS, that will solve all your problems when you're looking at or ordering a board. So yeah, just keep that in mind. Okay, so now we'll just talk about how to install your fins correctly. Firstly, with Futures, you've just got this little grub screw that runs in the front of the fin box. Make sure you get your Allen key right the way in there. You don't want to be rounding out the top. Just wind this bad boy out until you've got a clear view. You can see that none of the grub screw is actually protruding into the box. Now, you've got a little recess here at the back of the fin. This goes under what we call like the locking bar at the back of the fin plug. So you just kind of put it in on a bit of an angle like so. Make sure it's pushed right to the back of the board and then slide the fin down to the front. In it goes. And then you just want to wind in the fin screw. And you just keep on going until you'll actually see the fin move a little further back in the board. And then just from there, give it about a quarter turn more. And then rock solid, not going anywhere. Okay, so now we'll run through how you install a set of FCS2 fins. So these, like the Futures, you've got a little recess. However, it's on the front of the fin, not the back. There's also the locking bar, again, on the front of the fin box rather than the back. So firstly, we just want to get this in a bit of an angle. We want to push the fin as far forward as we can, really make sure it's nice and snug up to the front of the box. You don't want any gap there, otherwise it's not going to lock in properly. Now, these can be a little stiff because they're of the way the locking ball works. Just make sure we get right up the front. And I'm actually just going to use a rag just to push down the top of the fin, just to protect your hand. And just be careful too that you don't damage your board when you're doing this, as it can be a little bit fiddly. But again, just make sure it's right at the front. And then we're just going to push it down as best we can. And that's it. Okay, so now we're going to have a little look at some leashes or leg ropes. So this is super crucial when you're getting a new board that you select this appropriately. This can be your lifeline in certain instances. There's a couple different variables that run across all the brands. There are plenty of different options in regards to colors, lengths, etc. When we're choosing a leg rope, a few things you want to take into consideration. The size of wave you're going to be surfing. If you're going to be surfing waves on the smaller end of the spectrum, you can get yourself a thinner leg rope. This will give you less drag. It's actually much nicer to surf with. However, the compromise is obviously strength. Thinner cord is more likely to break than a thicker cord. So as the waves get bigger, and also as your board itself gets bigger, there's going to be more pressure on the leg rope or leash. I'd highly recommend to go with something a little bit thicker, a bit more robust. So in relation to that, we'll look at the moment the Creatures range. This is my personal preference at the moment. Also Chris's, really good, dependable, comfortable, lightweight. Yeah, just great leg ropes. So we start with the 6.0 Light. So this is the thinnest cord that they do. It's got a 5mm cord. So we're talking about the thickness of the urethane cord. So like I said, this is super low drag, really nice to surf. And in small ways, it's going to give you that little bit of performance edge, but it's not going to be quite as strong as the thicker leg ropes. Then from there, we move into the Comp. So the Comp, this is just 1mm thicker in regards to the diameter. So again, a little bit stronger, but it is going to have a little bit more drag. But again, really good like balance between the both. And then if the surf gets real pumping, or you want just something that's super solid, not going to break, or again, it's on a bigger, longer board, you're going to want to go with something like the Pro, and that's a 7mm cord, so super strong, Doesn't feel quite as nice to surf for me personally, but you just know this thing's not going to let you down. All the Creature stuff does also come with a 2-year warranty, which is pretty unique for the leg ropes. Yeah, really, really good gear. And on a side note as well, when you are picking out your leg rope, just take into account the length of your board. So if, for example, you're getting a 7-foot board, you want to get a 7-foot leg rope. If you get an 8-foot board, you want to get an 8-foot leg rope. And then anything under 6 foot, you're just going to use a straight up 6.0. Okay, so for this particular board, we've selected a 6.0 comp leash. Got that 6mm cord that we were talking about. So good combination of feel and strength. Now, the first thing you want to do is take the leash string or leg rope string out of the packaging, untie it. This is really important. When you're first setting up your board, if you get this string length wrong and you get, for example, the string coming over the rail of the board, this can actually cut through the tail of your board. I know it sounds a bit extreme, but I've seen it happen on numerous occasions. However, this can be completely alleviated with the string at the correct length, and you then utilizing what we call the rail saver of the board that spreads the pressure evenly over the rail and stops digging into the board. So, a couple different ways to do this, but for me, by far the best and also the strongest, we just do like a basic kind of double knot, like so. Okay, super easy. It'll actually be the same knot that the leg rope string comes with when it's in the leash. So you just kind of want to retie that and then thread this through under the bar that's in the leg rope plug, okay, and bring that up the other side like this. Now, I'm having a little look at that and just eyeballing it, and how I kind of want to do it is that I want to have this distance here to match the width of the leg rope saver. So here we're pretty close, but I reckon I want to make it slightly shorter. So I just fiddle a little bit with the knot and just shorten that slightly. Like I said, we just want to make it as short as we can so that we protect that rail of the board. Now we just undo the Velcro. Most leg ropes have got a couple different layers. Okay, and we get it like this. And then what I'm going to do, rather than kind of threading it through one, or even sometimes you'll see people loop this in on itself and then put it through, I just put this right through both of the loops that we formed. This way you've ultimately got 4 strings and double the strength holding that leg rope in place. Just get that again centered on the canvas, either side of on the inside of the Velcro, like so, like that. And then this one, you also have that last little bit, can be sometimes a bit of a mission to get out, like so. And again, just make sure that knot's nice and snug. And you'll see we've got the rail saver over the rail of the board, not the string. Super duper important. And after you've done that, I think, bit of wax, you ready to go. Okay, so now it's time for that finishing touch, getting that fresh wax job on here. So firstly, you just want to select your wax appropriate generally for the temperature that you're going to be surfing in. So you've got, just to give you some idea, we got stuff like tropical, which is obviously for warm places like Indonesia. Also, you can use this as a base coat and then layer it up with something a little bit softer. Then we go to warm from there. And then we also have cool, which is obviously the softest kind of compound you're going to get. So from there, select kind of where you're at with the wax. My personal preference for around here in Byron is the red sex wax. This actually, you don't even really need a base coat either. You can just go straight on nearly any time of year and it works really well. Gets super tight little beads, which is really important. So you're going to need about half a block to get things started on a fresh board. Don't try and wax a whole fresh board with a tiny little bit of wax that you've got left. Nobody's ever complained on a new board about having too much wax on it. It's generally going to be the other way around. So we just start off doing what we call a crosshatch pattern. So you kind of just want to start at the tail of the board, working your way to the nose, and run the corner of the block of wax at about a 45-degree angle with the stringer right the way up to, you know, maybe quarter of the way off the nose, and then repeat that the other way all the way back to the tail pad, and that'll give you that nice crosshatch pattern to get things started. And then just easiest way from there, just hold the block of wax about 45 degrees to the board and just work in kind of a circular motion, Don't push too hard. That will flatten the beads out and kind of destroy the nice beads that you're trying to create with your wax job. It's not just the stickiness of the wax that gives you the grip. It's also the texture that you create when you're putting it on. So be mindful of that. And then just take your time. If you rush, that's when the beads are going to flatten. If you push too hard, that's when the beads are going to flatten. Also important that you do this in the shade. If you try and do this in direct sunlight, it'll be a right mess and just smudge around everywhere. So just be mindful of that, and then just work your beads up. Take your time. Once you've got that nice texture kind of running throughout the whole board, you're ready to hit the surf.
And there you have it, guys. That's how to set up your new surfboard and get it ready to hit the waves. Now, if you have any more questions about setting up your brand new surfboard, make sure you add them in the comments below, and I'll do my best to answer them. Big thanks to Tom for running through everything. Hopefully he's given you all the information you need. And yeah, if you want to check out the full blog post on how to set up your new surfboard, check out the links in the description below. That's it for this week, guys. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. I'll see you next time. Yoo!